Do you know the secrets of making friends?
Welcome to the first ever Patreon exclusive.
Is this the red posture?
Robot!
Hello!
Hi, everyone.
If I was one of the four in there, I really would have been like, hold up. What do you mean no food, no water? Mm-hmm. I would be bitching the whole time. Because it still doesn't make sense to me. During the show, I said that out loud. Why? Why make them suffer like that? And you're like, you'll understand. No, I still don't understand.
I mean, you're going to understand, I think, when I come to that thing they didn't show us.
Okay.
It's blending a little bit. But there's actually a point I want to talk about before we get to that. Because it was a voice for you and people who felt like you in the books. And it was important. Here we just get this scene between Stu and Franny when they're discussing the journey. You know, he's thinking they average 25 to 30 miles a day. They could make it there by the end of February, meaning he's going to miss the birth of the baby. That's a week before the baby's due. Franny, while upset, is very calm and encouraging him. You know, she thinks Mother did speak for God, and thus they need to listen. She is losing her shit at this point in the books, okay? In the explosion, she was seriously injured. She had a horrible whiplash, a sprained back, and a broken foot. She couldn't even move, and she was in tons of pain. So when Mother told them to gather them, they really had to help her get into the room. And Mother's telling them the same thing, that she had sinned in pride. She also says, electric lights ain't the answer, Stu Redman. CB radio ain't it either, Ralph Brentner. Sociology won't end it, Glenn Bateman. And doing penance for a life that's long since a closed book won't stop it from coming, Larry Underwood. Nor will your boy child, Fran Goldsmith. God didn't bring you folks together to make a community. He brought you here only to send you further on a quest. And Fran says, what are you saying? That the four of them are just supposed to deliver themselves into his hands, the heart and soul of the free zone? I won't see them sacrificed to your killer God. Fuck him. Millions, maybe billions died in the plague. We don't even know if the children will live. Isn't he done yet? Does it just have to go on and on? He's no God. He's a demon, and you're his witch.
They should have put that in there.
Right?
Wow. What a beautiful Franny moment. And that is what I would have said.
Exactly. So she's speaking for all the people who are feeling that way in that moment, saying, this is bullshit. Why aren't any of you saying it's bullshit? And now you want to take my man Stu and leave me alone with this baby that might not even survive? I'm done. He's not going. Stu is not going. And what she does then is she touches Franny and heals her injuries. Within a second, all of her pain is gone. She bends over. She can touch her toes. She's looking, and Stu's like, what are you doing? And she says, it's healed. All the pain is gone. And then she turns to Mother, and she says, is this a bribe? And Mother says, no, God doesn't do bribes. He sends signs, and he lets you interpret them as he will. Basically, we have power on our side, too. I know what you're all thinking. These elaborate, flashy things that the dark side can do. We're asking so much of you and yet nothing in return. Here's a little sign for you that you need to put your faith in this and have the courage to stand up for what we need to do here. And she's not happy. She's still very sad, but reluctantly she agrees. They have no choice. They have to go along with this because if they don't, Flag's just going to come after the winter's over and wipe out the rest of their community anyway.
They should have put this in.
So you're like, okay, it sucks. And you know, in part, it's going to be a sacrificial journey and not everyone's going to survive. But if it's 3 or 4 of them that have to die, or maybe even just one, we don't know, to possibly make a stand, to possibly defeat him, to at least fight back. Otherwise, they're all going to be dead anyway. That's the point of this story, right? And she finishes it by saying, you always have a choice, Fran. That's God's way, and it always will be. Your will is still free, but this is what God wants of you.
Be sure to subscribe to our podcast. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at CKC Podcast. And if you'd like to support Jason and Cristina and would love even more content, including bonus casts and movie reviews, join our Patreon at patreon.com/CKC Podcast.